Talking points, discover our guest in a jiffy. Good evening once again. You welcome to Talking Points. We having as guest Apostle Ambe Valentine. He is a political analyst. Good evening and welcome, Apostle Ambe.
Good evening, Innocent. Good evening, Cameroonians. Good evening, viewers of Equinox. It's always a privilege and a joy to be here.
It's always a privilege to have you as well.
Thank you very much.
So, how was your day been?
That's been a very cool one and a very nice one, even though the climatic condition in Douala is not favorable to some of us. But we are here, we are pulling on.
If it's not favorable, maybe we're talking about the climatic condition not favorable. Others will be talking about the security situation not favorable. We're talking about those in the northwest and southwest regions.
Yes, that's something that has been rocking the northwest and the south for the past 4 getting to 5 years. And we are very aware of what is happening in the two regions. It's been a very, very bad situation because we've lost both from the military, civilians, as well as the separatists. Human lives matter. Human lives are sacred and human lives are very essential. No life is supposed to be destroyed because of someone's interest. I think it's often said in literature that when 2 elephants are fighting, the grass is suffer. There are individuals who are actually suffering as a result of the 2 elephants who are fighting. So we are calling upon those 2 elephants to stop their fighting and allow the grasses to live at peace. Look at what happened in Kumba, the GBHS teacher who was killed, and also the Nigerian woman that was slaughtered. If we want to go to international relations, Nigeria has the right to intervene through its consulate because they have touched a citizen of theirs in this country. That's how war can extend and create problems. What happened in the First World War? Archduke Franz Ferdinand was killed by a Serbian radical Gavrilo Princip. It brought a world war. So some things that are very small and minute can spark off international crisis. If Nigeria is not a brother and a friend to Cameroon, they can take what has happened to the Nigerian man to some greater extent that will cause chaos and a lot of pandemonium between the two nations.
And at this level, do you think it can even cause, because you know the relationship Cameroon has with Nigeria, you know the influence of Nigeria. Well, we have separatist leaders who were brought to Cameroon by the Nigerian government, and the government of Cameroon applauded that move. And you think the killing of this Nigerian woman will even affect the Nigerians or maybe the Nigerian government?
That's why I said that even because Cameroon has a good relationship with Nigeria, in other situations things will get sour. Like the Ghanaian pastor that was equally killed sometime around Murphy. And it's so bad because whether Nigerian or Cameroonian, human lives are sacred, and we must do everything possible to bring an end to this senseless war. First and foremost, why are we fighting? Who are the ones fighting? What do we want to achieve in this fight? And for how long shall we continue to fight that we have not achieved what we want to achieve? I think it is rigidness, hard-heartedness, unbending attitude of the two camps in question that is putting the lives of many Cameroonians at jeopardy. Even foreigners who've come to enjoy the grandeur and the blissful nation of this country, they are not at peace. I'm very, very surprised, Innocent, that in this age where we are, peace is becoming very expensive than war.
Exactly. So an innocent someone who will just sit in his home, his house is invaded by some armed men. He is not even asked anything. He's shot dead. We're talking about the physics teacher who is equally a GCE examiner.
Yes.
How did you receive that news?
I received that information with consternation, confusion, and indignation, because in the first place, that teacher probably must have raised Cameroonians that are of benefit to the nation today as well as large. That is very, very bad, because as far as human lives are concerned, we should not by any means take away any life for any interest. It was Goodluck Ebele Jonathan who said, "My political interest does not worth the blood and the life of any Nigerian." I think everybody should follow suit. The ensuing analysis of what Jonathan said in Nigeria supposed to be a role model and a pathfinder to most African leaders. Why should human lives be slain, destroyed, desecrated because of people's individual interests? I think we have to look into this matter again. How much have we lost so far, and what are we looking for? We'll put the pros and the cons. Let us look at what we have invested so far in terms of cash, in terms of human lives, in terms of resources. Then imagine what we want to achieve in return. If you put on a balance, you will discover what you are investing cannot give you back what you're going to harvest.
Well, close to 5 years we've been preaching this, we've been criticizing. Don't you think it's been like throwing water on a duck's back?
It's not throwing water on a duck's back. You see, there are two ways to approach a crisis. Sometimes diplomatically it goes like a snail-paced process, but sometimes spontaneously individuals rise up within the circle of the nation to solve it. The diplomatic procedure is very, very slow, but it's sure. What we need is a time we do not even have to wait for more people to die. I think the individuals in question who are into this crisis should think twice and see a means to come to a consensus. It is true the government does not want separation. It's true the separatists want separation. But I think somebody has to sacrifice at a certain level, and then two of them come at the middle. In the middle means federalism or confederation. These two parties, or the special status they are talking about, if they effectualize the special status in the actual sense of the special status, I think Cameroon is going to experience at least 75% peace. What I think, because sometimes you don't keep on fighting. We have had crises in other countries of the world. Bougainville wanted to break out of Papua New Guinea. It was a fight for several years. They fought for several years, and finally it was a New Zealand that came in between them and brokered a referendum that they voted 98% in for separation. They gave them 20 years to live together to see if they can cohabit, but they couldn't go. 2019 they began arranging preparations for secession. That was not the case of the Tamil Tigers in Sri Lanka, who had a clash with the Sri Lankan government. They fought from 1983 to 2009. That's 26 years in war, and finally they dropped their arms. But let us go and check the casualties, the human lives, the properties, the stability, the economic stability, social, spiritual, as well as human casualties. You will discover that what they achieved at the end could not be compared if they put on a balance with what they were fighting for. So I think we should take a second thought, because sometimes it is good to think and sometimes good to think again. Someone said, what you have in your hand, if you can think well, it is enough. It was Clifford Pinchton who said, it's not amount of years you have in life, but the amount of life you put in those years. Let us make sure that we put sufficient life in the years we have on earth, not taking away lives from those years. It is not the amount of years you have in this life, but the amount of life you put in those years. So we should be very careful, because we are instead taking lives with the few years that God has given to us on earth.
Exactly. Before we talk about negotiation, that's been very positive in other countries. Let's first of all talk about someone sacrificing here. Who should sacrifice? The states?
Both parties are supposed to sacrifice.
According to you, who should sacrifice?
Both parties are supposed to sacrifice, because both parties have lost. Military have lost their lives. It has costed the state. The amount of money they have put in the war, it has costed the state. The separatists have lost lives. They have lost property. They have lost family members. Equal lives have been sacrificed on both sides. So somebody has to broker a deal that will make nobody feel as if he has been cheated at the war front.
It doesn't even matter, because they keep saying we need to win this war. The state wants to win, the separatists want to win.
There is
and
no winner.
There is developments in the attack approach. Weapons, sophisticated weapons coming up, and you're talking about somebody giving up. Is it possible?
You know, sir, nobody ever wins a war. Nobody ever wins a war. Nobody has ever won a war, and nobody will ever win a war. It would appear 1967 to 1970, the Biafra war that was led by Oduko Dumeju and Philip Effiong. It felt like the Nigerian government won under Gowon, but it's not the case, because an ideology. Several years have passed. We are in the 20s. Here you have Nnamdi Kanu, who has caused another uprising. If Nnamdi Kanu dies, another person will take up the uprising, because it is an ideology, cannot be killed with gun. I don't know when leaders will get to understand that you don't kill ideology with gun. We kill ideology with negotiations. It is difficult for us to understand this simple mathematics, that in all generations, ideas and ideologies are not killed with the barrel. They are not killed with the pistol. They are not killed with the AK-47. They are killed with serious negotiations when both parties are satisfied. The FARC rebels fought in Colombia for many years, held guns. The guns could not kill the idea until negotiations came, until the FARC rebels became a political party that are now consistent. So let us learn from history and be able to understand that you don't jeopardize people's destiny because you want to use iron fist in solving what ideas. I wrote on my Facebook page, when you see guns begin to smoke in any nation, it's only a clear sign that minds are failed.
That's interesting.
Yes. When minds can no longer solve problems, they resort to guns. And when the guns start controlling humans, when humans created guns, we can decide when that gun will go out and when it shouldn't go out. Why should the gun be at the forefront? We are setting the cart before the horse.
Let's talk now about negotiation. Many have been talking about negotiation or a mediator, but we had a major national dialogue. It's been what many would term failure, and looking at separatists, the one negotiation whereby the state will say, okay, we accept, you form your state as you want, but the state does not even want to hear about separation. Maybe that's the reason why they kick against any call for negotiation, against any mediator, because the separatists, they want a negotiation that will be separation. Nothing else than separation.
The true sign or the true proof of knowledge is liberation. If you know something, you must be liberated from it. If the national dialogue was the truth and the solution to the problem, it would have brought liberation. The fact that it did not bring solution, it did not bring liberation, it means it was not the solution. Truth is not when you explain it. When you know a truth, it brings you out of captivity. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Any truth that does not set you free, no matter how you promulgate or propagate it, it doesn't arrive, it doesn't amount to be the truth, because truth actually delivers. Now, when we are talking about two parties holding it, if you hold a rope at that end and I hold here, there will be tension. If you relax and I relax, there will be no tension. Right. Both parties have tension the rope at the end. The common man is the person that suffers in the middle. I am not here to speak on behalf of separatists or the government. I'm speaking here as a civil society promoter on behalf of the common man. Why are these two people tensioning the rope that suffers the man in the middle? Both parties have been cautioned by even the U.S. Congress and the U.S. Senate that they should come on a table of negotiation without any preconditions. But you see, at one end, the separatists do not want any condition. And the government does not want any condition. They say pride goes before a fall and a haughty spirit before destruction. I can tell with all sincerity, what has kept us where we are today is pride. How do you explain that 20,000 military are fighting 2,000, a tenth of what they have, and then we still have a war? Something is not clear.
And now we look at the role France plays. We have a citizen MP. You certainly listened to him as he was addressing some ministers at the National Assembly bitterly. He spoke the truth. That's authorities, they rely so much on France. And we know the role of France. France detects how government has to function or carry out or go about its affairs. Can France intervene in this security situation in the northwest and southwest regions? Can France tell the government authorities, put an end to this crisis, and they respect that? Do you think it's possible?
Show me a man that blames others consistently for his challenges. I will show you a man that is a big time failure. When you keep transferring your errors on the shoulders of others. The truth is, France has that power to influence the activities in Cameroon, but France cannot call the shots. The truth is, we must be sincere when we come on television to tell people the truth. The government of this country has the capacity to stop. You cannot be inviting strangers to come and handle something that you yourself can handle in your house. If we are talking about France, France will never for once, take it from my mouth and Cameroonians listening to me, will never step into quenching any fire that does not tamper with its interest. Never. It will never. You see, the drama that is taking place right now is that something occurred in Mali. Assimi Goïta kicked Abubakar Keïta, brought in Bando. Bando began communizing. He kicked out Bando. The reason why there was an immediate UN Security Council after Abubakar Keïta was kicked out because France's interest in Mali was jeopardized. The Anglophone crisis has not touched anything concerning France, because most of France's businesses in Africa, they are very little placed in the English-speaking region of the country. The fuel is not there. Okay,
and just before we go out, just some few seconds, what's the future of this armed conflict, according to you?
The future is in the hands of Cameroonians. The truth is, from every evidence and every proof, we've learned that international communities have never solved any problem anywhere. And once they come to even South Africa, what's happening right now in Central African Republic, they come with very huge interest to jeopardize the resources of our people. I think it's time for us Africans to handle African problems. You don't tell me that 54 nations in a continent are not able to handle a single crisis. It is so bad that with all the wealth of understanding, we have three categories of leadership in Africa. We have the political class of leadership, we have the business class, we have the academic elite. You don't tell me that all the categories of leadership do not have the capacity to bring these people on a table to liberate. Who solved the problem in Sudan? It was in Congo that the matter was settled. You are talking about crisis in Africa. Yeah, we have had several crises. In 1994, when Kagame had a challenge with the government of Juvenal Habyarimana in the land of Rwanda, it was the AU that went there and settled the score. It was the AU during the Arusha Accord. Where is the AU in Cameroon? La Francophonie has come here, Commonwealth has come here, AU has spoken, United Nations has spoken, and US Congress and Senate have written as well. Are you telling me that all these minds from these different organizations put together, they are very epileptic in handling a very minor crisis as this? There is a question mark somewhere.
Just like you said.
Yes, there is a question mark somewhere.
Thank you so very much, Pastor Apostle Ambe Valentine, for coming.
Thank you very much. And it's always a joy to communicate and educate Cameroonians.
Of course, and we're always glad to have you, and we're hoping we'll have you another time. Well, thanks so much, dear viewers, for being part of this edition of the 6 p.m. Primetime Newscast and Talking Points. We shall be back next week, God willing. Have a nice weekend.
Equinox Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rend